Afternoon. This presentation aims to advertise the implementation of a business expansion idea for our company HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a multinational group comprising of vertically integrated food solutions specializing in the meal kit industry and selling directly to consumers. The business generates value through its positioning as a cheap and healthy alternative to takeaway, easing the burden of decision-making and meal planning for consumers. Recently, the business has diversified to offer ready meals on top of its subscription meal kit model, capturing a wider target market. The business seeks to change the way people eat forever, as outlined by their mission statement, with core values including cost discipline, efficiency, and customer centricity. Currently, HelloFresh Shop solely operates through its e-commerce platform, leaving a strategic gap in its distribution such that large portions of potential customers are alienated. Thus, the proposed expansion idea is to expand HelloFresh's distribution of products to encompass in-person retail, allowing access to a larger target market. The business could introduce its ready-to-eat range to retail stores, competing with existing alternatives through their quality, branding, and economies of scale generated through specialization. This expansion should be considered a market development, offering moderate risk and strong potential returns as identified by the Ansoff matrix. To undergo this expansion, HelloFresh may choose between two investment options. The first entails the construction of company-owned retail distribution warehouses, representing a large upfront cost to steadily supply retail stores with their products and adjust for an increased volume of sales. This is a large-scale operation which has the potential to boost the reach of their products across domestic markets. The alternative investment option involves a partnership with a national supermarket chain. This option carries far less upfront cost, likely involving the negotiation of a sales agreement such that large portions of supermarket sales are sacrificed. This option would ensure that products are placed on shelves and promoted such that maximum customer exposure is achieved, potentially boosting sales. The first investment option aligns with the stated strategic goal of efficiency, achieved through economies of scale, while the latter aligns with the goal of cost discipline, minimizing upfront costs while optimizing revenue. Both strategies seek to generate value to retail customers who are afforded more options and shareholders who will see increased profitability from this endeavor. To evaluate the feasibility of this market opportunity, we must first analyze the main customer segments involved. These include loyal subscribers who have a previous relationship with the brand and new retail shoppers who will be exposed to HelloFresh via the expansion plan. Loyal subscribers are HelloFresh's current dominant source of revenue, with around 2/3 of customers ordering over 20 times from the company. These customers subscribe to their meal planning service, offering stable income through a medium volume of weekly orders at the cost of decreased margins and limited growth potential. The other group of interest is new retail customers who are more prone to sporadic purchases, with loyalty being potentially achieved by integration of HelloFresh products into weekly shopping trips. This group offers a high volume of inconsistent purchases, offering strong growth potential at the cost of weakened margins due to supermarket influence. To evaluate the two groups, we can use the criteria of attractiveness and match with company capabilities, as outlined by the STP framework. Tenured subscribers shop stably and have measurable habits via online data collection. The volume of sales represented by this group is substantial, as suggested by HelloFresh. This group is easily actionable and accessible to the company due to their established relationship, meaning that any changes to the business model are instantly passed on to them. This information shows the attractiveness of this segment, whereas HelloFresh's existing ability to service this customer base shows their clear match with company capabilities. Meanwhile, retail shoppers represent a far more substantial demographic than online sales. Their stability and measurability is far more ambiguous due to the availability of competition and lack of current data. While these factors would diminish their attractiveness, the sheer volume of retail shoppers justifies the targeting of this segment. Recent development of HelloFresh's RTE production through the opening of facilities across Europe means the firm can likely service mass production for retail, making the demographic a strong company fit. It is worth noting that HelloFresh's tenured customer base refers solely to online shoppers and subscribers, meaning that the demographic is mutually exclusive from new retail customers. Given the pre-existence and attractiveness of HelloFresh's tenured customer base, this segment has been targeted for increased retention to be achieved through adjustments to the marketing mix. The business could tailor its product offerings by gathering real-time customer feedback through surveys, choosing to distribute a higher volume of popular meal kits which are tried and tested by existing customers. In order to boost retention, HelloFresh could alter its pricing model to offer extra discounts based on the length of subscription, helping to achieve the pricing objective of patronage. This could be used in tandem with the addiction of frictionless subscription renewal as the main pain point in place that customers are exposed to their product. Finally, HelloFresh should implement milestones for consumer purchases as a form of promotion, changing the packaging for customers' 50th or 100th orders, etc. These seek to improve loyalty, the strategic importance of which is exemplified by the fact that a 5% increase to retention can increase profits by 25 to 95%. When undergoing either of these investment options, risk is a key factor which can be evaluated through cost-volume profit analysis. The construction of new distribution facilities as well as the subsequent depreciation of machinery and insurance carries a substantial fixed cost. Minor variable costs are associated with the operation of these warehouses which fluctuate based on demand. Meanwhile, engaging in a retail distribution agreement carries negligible fixed cost, but large variable costs as revenue is shared with the retailer. The first project requires a larger sales volume to break even but generates increasing returns as volume increases. Conversely, a retail agreement is profitable sooner but grows at a slower rate due to decreased margins. Thus, it can be stated that the first project carries larger operating leverage and has a tighter margin of safety. It is worth noting that this CVP analysis is limited by assumptions, such as the ability for HelloFresh to meet dramatic increases in sales volume, price stability, and the consistency of fixed and variable costs as the projects continue to develop to maturity and economies of scale is achieved. The pricing objectives that these projects will seek to achieve are operations and patronage respectively. The development of infrastructure serves the sole purpose of increasing production capacity, which must then be justified by an increase in sales volume and demand. Consequently, operations will be the primary objective that this project will strive for. A retail agreement will instead attempt to achieve patronage among new retail shoppers. This group was previously identified to have sporadic purchasing patterns, which can be overcome should HelloFresh become integrated into regular shopping patterns. By encouraging brand loyalty, shoppers may transition to loyal online subscribers, bypassing high variable costs related to in-person shopping and increasing net profitability. As such, this project will seek to achieve the goal of patronage. Now that associated risks have been identified, we may use investment evaluation tools to judge the profitability of these two investment options. For the construction of distribution centers, payback period is the most relevant tool. This is because of the large upfront costs associated with the project, of which the primary goal is generating enough revenue to surpass these fixed costs. This tool serves as a strong form of risk screening, focusing on liquidity to determine how quickly the firm will get its money back. The implementation of HelloFresh's current efficiency program, which emphasizes decreased capex and higher ROI on market spends, affirms that payback period will likely be a key concern for the company. Construction of a warehouse can cost anywhere from $1,300 to $1,800 per meter squared in Australia, which combined with the scale of the operation means that regardless of increases to sales volume, HelloFresh is facing a payback period in the scale of years. The perishable nature of their products would also increase the upfront cost required to properly store them. It is assumed the business will use debt to finance this operation, which could dramatically increase its gearing ratio, which currently sits at an elevated 124.8%. Given that the liquidity and solvency of the firm could be impacted for years, the payback period of this project suggests it is a highly risky move for the business. It is important to note that payback period neglects cash flows after break-even, which are one of the key motivators for undergoing this project, meaning that this analysis likely undersells its overall worth. Payback period also ignores the time value of money, which would further exacerbate the current burden to company financials. Negotiation of a retail agreement can instead be measured using net present value, evaluating the current profitability of a long-run, low-risk value stream. Any retail partnership undergone by HelloFresh would likely run over an agreed-upon period rather than indefinitely, as suggested by their previous brief partnership structure with Sainsbury's. Given the low fixed costs associated with this project, HelloFresh is likely instead interested in the total value that this project will generate, such that it can be compared with other potential projects. To evaluate the NPV of this project, we can assume that HelloFresh's ready-to-eat meals will compete directly with existing retail alternatives, such as Light and Easy, the competitor with the largest market share. This company generated $425.7 million in revenue in 2025, while the industry's average profit margin was 3.9%. It can then be extrapolated that there exists a large, profitable, and addressable market, resulting in a strong implied net present value and making the project highly attractive for HelloFresh, which incurred a profit loss in its revenue in 2025. The primary limitation of NPV is the difficulty in comparing projects of different lives or scales. Given the longevity of a potential retail agreement largely depends upon the other party, the applicability of NPV in comparing this project to others is diminished. Both projects have vastly different scales and time periods, with the retail agreement requiring smaller investments of time, resources, and money compared to the long-run strategy of building distribution centers. This makes comparison of projects difficult, likely requiring a common, scale-independent analysis tool such as internal rate of return. The cash flow structure of each project is also important to note. Distribution facilities require maintenance and frequent replacement of machinery. This can result in irregular ongoing cash flows on top of the large upfront investment, detracting from the attractiveness of the project. A retail agreement does not likely require upfront investment, but ongoing cash outflows may be required to meet supply expectations and revenue share deals, making the cash flow structure of this project more predictable than that of the other. Through previous analysis, expanding into the retail sector through either project will likely generate positive results for HelloFresh. While the construction of distribution centers will impede short-term cash flow in favor of long-term profitability and increased demand, a retail agreement forgoes initial expenditure in favor of consistent cash flows and diminished profitability. The retail project also exposes HelloFresh to new market demand instantly compared to the long-term construction of infrastructure. Given the currently elevated gearing ratio of HelloFresh and the reserved capex discipline, it is likely more suitable for the company to choose the retail agreement. The success of industry staples highlights the profitability of this project, while the decreased operating leverage and stronger margin of safety decrease the risk profile of the project. Overall, expanding into the retail space by negotiating distribution agreements gives HelloFresh access to a previously untapped target market, positioning the company to generate value to customers through its niche image as a healthy and affordable alternative. Developing brand loyalty and new customers generates stable and consistent value for shareholders, achieving the pricing objective of patronage.